welcome to the first podcast of 99 Ain't Good Enough, but we keep it 100. I'm one of your fellow co-hosts, Mario Lovett.
I'm Dak Duncan, a.k.a. Mr. High Park.
And you know the coach up in here, Tommy Jones.
And we want to touch on today experiences. And we're talking about experiences in sports, your first experience. And I want to give you some quick stats. And we talk about the four major sports. We look at the NFL, the playoffs start tonight. That's a league that generates $15 billion a year. The National Basketball Association, games come on every single day. It's about $10.7 billion a year. Major League Baseball is $10.7 billion a year. NBA, $8.8 billion a year. I remember 2-3 years ago, it was at like $3.5 billion. And then we look at, the game of hockey, which is about $5.1 billion a year. So from the youth sports standpoint, all the way elevating, each one of us sitting at this table have some great experiences and great stories that we want to tell y'all that brought us to the forefront of how we get here today.
So my first sports memory would be the first time I put on probably a Spartan helmet at the West Tampa Boys and Girls Club. I quickly realized me being the fastest kid on South Fremont.
Oh, you was fast?
Back then on Swan. Fremont and Swan, I was the fastest kid.
120 pounds.
I was greased lightning. I got to practice at the boys club, and within an hour I had my hand in the dirt because I was a lineman. I wasn't a skill guy no more. Probably not even an hour. Probably after we ran, we did calisthenics and warmed up, I was instantly a lineman.
Well, before Dak gets into the meat, potatoes, and hills, I'll touch on one of my first experiences. And growing up where I grew up at, sports was, simply something, it almost seemed like it was mandated. You had to do. We played, recreationally, throw up, touch, football, stuff like that. But my first experience was just going down to, play baseball at the age of about, 8 years of age. And I remember that I had some jean pants and some cleats that I borrowed from my cousin that didn't have any spikes on them. This big jersey, but you see it on TV and you watch and you go out and mimic it. But just being able to get out there and mix it up, with the guys to learn how to catch and throw and scoop a ball and hit a baseball was one of my very fond first memories of playing sports.
You know what, man? All these memories and stuff is what gets you. It's why we're here now. What will get us to this point? I got so many of them. When Star and when we were talking about this topic, so many things went through my head. I think I just remember, man, going out in the neighborhood with everybody and playing. Mm-hmm. And I remember being a little bigger, a little stronger, a little faster. And I remember liking the attention you got from it. You know what I mean? I remember liking the little rush you got from if you scored or whatever it is you did. And then a lot of things changed with a lot of different experiences along the way, which I'm sure we'll get into as we go. But I just remember the first sports you played, how you felt, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I know it sounds corny to say, but it felt like home. It felt like somewhere where I could just relax and be me,
It's definitely, something that I think you just transfigured to all of us, because the euphoria of playing sports, man, was something I can always remember. Yeah. My first hit, my first catch, my first layup, my first steal. Yeah. You can remember those things, and it just gives you an overwhelming feeling. We didn't know what it was at the time, 10, 11 years old.
Couldn't even describe it.
You know what I'm saying? And now, us sitting here now, 20, 30, 40 years later, and to just, it stirs up a lot of great memories, man. It really does.
It does. You know what? I'm going to tell you something funny, what I can't get out of my head as we talking about it. It's going to sound funny and it's a little bit off, but it go with it. It tied into school. Because I remember when I first started playing organized basketball, we were in the Catholic Youth League, and you got your uniform, you're going to play and everything. And I had got in trouble in class. A little discipline thing and trash. Too much talking. Wasn't never no grades or nothing like that. It was too much talking.
Right.
So my coach sat me out. And I sat on that sideline. I ain't cry. I was about to. I sat on that sideline. I watched that game being played, and I said, "This will never happen to me again. This will never happen again. I'm gonna go to class. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed because this will never happen again."
Yeah.
And that stuck in my head. Now I ain't saying I was no great student or nothing like that. You know what I mean? But
Just
I was
that didn't happen again.
That didn't happen
Right.
again. I was gonna make sure I did whatever I needed to do to make sure I could play. So I have a hard time sometimes with these guys with these grades, and they don't get their grades so that they can at least do what they love to do.
Right.
And I remember saying, "This ain't never happening to me again."
Yeah.
Never.
I remember like being in elementary school when you played for the boys club back in the day. They would let you wear your jersey on Fridays. You know, that was a big thing for the boys club. You got your jersey. Back then, the Spartans looked exactly like USC, half jerseys and everything.
Okay.
I couldn't. I'm talking about.
That's when you had that 6-pack in there. That
Oh,
eight.
man. Oh, boy.
Playing 100 bonds.
Oh, man.
And we ain't talking about 100K. Playing 100 bonds.
I'm talking about, boy.
Playing 100 bonds.
The good old days.
And a fake old soda.
That was a big deal. And, you know, you got teachers. Who you play for? Oh, I play for the Spartans.
Yeah.
You know, you got girls. Oh, who you play for? Oh, I play for the Spartans. So that was always a big. I guess they kind of use that as a carrot. Hey, we have a good week of practice. Y'all can wear y'all jerseys to school Friday.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah.
And you look forward to it. They did the same thing in baseball. You know, baseball consumed my life at a young age before I started playing basketball. But I just remember wearing, in the 7th grade, wearing my Twins baseball jersey, and the Twins for us in Little League at Yellow Jackets was a yellow jersey.
Right.
And I had on some black cut-off Dickie shorts.
Yes, sir.
Some yellow socks. But guess what? I had on some red Troops.
Troops.
Don't make me pull my Lottos out the closet.
Please
You had me some Troops, red with the speckles on them like some reptiles. So
Oh, I
imagine
know exactly what you're talking about.
this big kid with a yellow Twins jersey on, some black Dickie shorts, yellow socks, and red shoes.
Red
you
shoes.
couldn't tell me nothing.
You was clean.
I wouldn't even think about wearing that right now.
Right.
See, now you talk about that. I laugh because I remember we would go playing at the time. Converse was the shoe. I don't know if y'all know nothing about that, y'all.
Yeah.
It was Converse.
Don't do that, Coach. I mean, I know you got a little time, but don't do it like that, Coach.
It was Converse. Well, I remember we couldn't get it because we couldn't afford it. They was like $12, $13.
Right.
And my mom was like, "Who gonna pay that much for some tennis shoes?" Now I look at the price on shoes. It's
$250.
crazy. Yeah, but it was $12, $13. We couldn't afford it, so I remember getting some Pro Kids. They was red. They was low top.
The power of inflation.
Hey, man, listen. Them Pro Kids was the shoe, and I wore them for a while. Then when I got my first pair of Nike, they was white.
Yes, sir.
Look here.
Leather?
Leather, man. First pair of leather shoes I had.
Leather.
See, I know I'm dating myself now, but hey, look here. After the game, boy, a practice, take your little rag, a little soap.
What you talking about?
Oh, yeah. You want them shining now.
Clean.
You definitely want them shining.
Speaking of Converse being the shoe, that's how I got into even more into basketball because of the Converse outlet on I-4 and MLK.
Okay.
Which is what I guess not like
It's a
child support office or something random.
It used to be a business park or
The
something.
business district or something like
That
that.
was the Converse outlet, and you would buy a pair of shoes, you get a free poster.
Yeah.
So I was all cons. I was all about the weapons. You know, the Lakers wore the con, Magic wore the con, Bird had the cons. So I was a big Converse guy. Mark Aguirre had the cons.
Well, listen, I gotta say this here. When you stop, because I'm hearing you talking about baseball.
Yeah,
And so
Mario
you
was a
played
baseball.
basketball, you done made a little money in basketball, you coach it. When you got into basketball, because look at him, this is the biggest guard I ever. Man, when I seen this dude when he was in high school, I came back. I was like, "Who the post player out there?" They were like, "I say guard."
Yeah.
That's the biggest. Well, it's done changed now.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yeah.
But
now.
at that
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
I was like, "That's the biggest guard I had
In
ever
the
seen."
mid-90s, yeah.
when
It's
you
funny
start.
you asked me that, Coach. I was always into basketball. Like I played in the youth league. I played basketball, but baseball was my thing. I was doing, I was a pitcher. So I started playing basketball seriously at about 13, 14. But I played in ACPRD leagues.
HCPRD for
Hillsborough
those
County
that
Parks
don't
and
listen.
Recreation. Yes, which is a league that developed a lot of guys that we personally know right now.
Right,
And
HCPRD.
they don't know have that outlet for us.
Yeah.
But I never forget my last year of playing baseball. I played 4 games, and I made the All-Star team. And I told my coach out there, I said, "Coach, I'm done." And I had a basketball tournament, my first AAU tournament. My second one, to go in Melbourne to play in Nationals. And on that team, I didn't get no playing time. I didn't get any time to be able to play. But we did a lot of different things to where I had the skill set that I had at my size. Throwing a football, playing baseball, dribbling the basketball. We just, tried stuff.
Wasn't no specialization. We played everything.
We cross trained.
Yeah.
Didn't even know
we
what
played whatever the
cross-training.
season was.
Right.
That's what we played.
Yeah.
I told Mario something the other day. I said, I didn't go to school with anybody who tore their ACL.
No.
The whole 3 years I was at Plant, I didn't know anybody that tore their ACL from, I think maybe a lineman or something. Somebody rolled up on him on the football field, but not like a non-contact. He made a cut and his knee went.
Right.
I didn't go to school with anybody like
There's
that.
some interesting thesis out there that talks about specialization in sports and how early it is.
It's,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So for us doing an abundance of things, different things that we did, we fell in love with the sport of basketball.
Right.
But baseball helped me have my handles the way I had at my size. You know what I mean? Playing baseball, being able to throw, scoop, and all that.
At that time, too, now, it was a lot of brothers playing baseball.
Yeah.
Back then.
Much more back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was something for us to look at, too, because I played baseball, too.
And a lot of people don't, know, arguably the best baseball player of all time is, you know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, it's a lot of guys at the top tier of doing it that are not, you know what I'm saying? The way it's kind of shifted, you know what I mean, from a demographic standpoint.
Right,
now
right,
it's,
right.
Totally different. When you look back to Barry Bonds and doing what he was doing, you know what I'm saying, at the time, and you see, guys like Kirby Puckett and different guys, Ricky Henderson, we can name, quite a few guys. For me, it was, and then playing the youth baseball games, the game, the arcade game, RBI. So you played.
Yeah.
Oh,
I used to like to play with the St. Louis
got
Cardinals.
all about
it. Ozzie Smith.
So you just said something about, like Coach Jones said, about brothers playing baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, when you were a kid, you'd be like, oh, that's Kenny Lofton. He a baseball player.
Yeah.
You don't realize Kenny Lofton played basketball at Arizona State.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
And they used to have this thing that came on Channel 10 called the Foot Locker Slam Fest.
I remember that. You going
It was the
back.
dunk contest for non-basketball players but other athletes.
Yeah.
So it freaked me out at 12, 13. I see Barry Sanders dunking the basketball, Kenny Lofton.
5'8".
Yeah, Kenny Lofton and Dion and Michael Irvin and all them guys. Because they were from a generation where you didn't kind of specialize. You played everything.
Played everything.
Yeah.
And it goes back to just those sports memories. We had to, we didn't have the technology that we have today where you can kind of stream things right on your phone. We had to, the park, we leaving the park, we going to watch a basketball game or a football game. We going to watch the finals, and stuff like that. So
Stuff like that make me think, too. When do you say, like, you said basketball it for me? This is where I'm going to go.
basketball for me was simply, I'll never forget it. Coach Nate, we had to play in a tournament where he took, all of us to play in a basketball tournament. Took a few guys from our neighborhood to go play in a AAU tournament. And I never forget, I got a rebound. I came down, I made like a stutter step. And the guy like jerked, and I went by him, and my teammate was slashing to the rim, and I threw a no-look pass like magic.
Yeah.
And it was over.
That was it then.
Like it was the way I felt after that, I was like, I never felt that way hitting a home run.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I never felt that way throwing somebody out. I never felt that way, being able to do it. And it was just like, it was free. It was so fun. I couldn't imagine not doing anything else. Like it was just, that was just, it for me.
Once again, I got a crazy little thing. I 5th grade, we was playing for the championship. And I love basketball and all that. And we lost. And it was my homeboy birthday, Aikens. His family Aikens Funeral Home. Yeah. And I felt so bad. And I was like, I got to get back here, win this thing. Might not win on his birthday, but I let him down.
Right.
You know what I mean? And from that point on, it was like I kind of pursued the basketball thing and then gradually started falling more in love with it. But it was like, it was the fact that we lost on his birthday.
5th grade.
In 5th grade. And I was like, I gotta write this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I felt so bad. But at the same time, that let me know what kind of player and teammate I was headed toward being too, because I was more concerned with everybody I was playing with.
And the ultimate team sport.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
In basketball. And to hear that type of mentality at the age of 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to go do it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
For that, at 10 years old, you're
And,
saying.
and that's what I'm saying.
What I mean?
That's when I knew. I was like, this is what you want to do right here. This is what you want to play, so to speak.
Mine was a little bit different. Again, playing on them great sport teams, going on runs where we not losing. But I'm kind of noticing like guys like a Rodney Mills or Andrew Spencer, they really enjoy football. And I'm like, it's all right.
Right.
So I remember being probably like 7th, 8th grade, and they was all talking about, we were at Wilson. oh, when we leave here, we going to Jefferson, we go play football, and I wasn't really feeling that.
Right.
And it's probably just over the summer of the 7th grade, just playing at the park one day, I hit a couple shots, and a dude kept saying, like, when they got back home, hey, watch him, he the shooter. And I was like, oh, I'm the shooter.
Yeah, that's
Right, yeah.
Oh, I can shoot. Okay,
Right,
so since that day, I've been a shooter.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I'm going to go take 200 jumpers, work on my form. The jump shot was ugly, but it was going in.
Right.
But like Jones kind of said earlier, you get the attention from being a shooter.
Yeah.
You get to play maybe the last game on the grown-up court. They let you on. Now they got 9. They look over, we got you. You know what I'm saying? You playing on the grown-up court or whatever.
Right.
Can't turn it over. Can't call foul.
Yeah, none of that.
Play as much defense as you can, and that's it.
The best memory I have about basketball, man, you made me think when you say with the big boys.
Yeah.
I was still in grade school, and some of the dudes in my neighborhood was high school. They was driving. So one of them, daddy was in the military, so we used to get on Air Force Base.
Right.
So Saturdays, where y'all going, man? We going to Air Force Base, man, going to play. We ain't playing over at the park. Nah, we going to Air Force Base. I want to go. Man, you can't play with us, da-da-da-da. So I was like, I'm finna get in that car one of these Saturdays. I'm going to that base.
Right.
I don't know what the base is.
You're right. You just want to go see what
I'm
it is.
getting in that car.
No clue what the base is.
Right. So every time we played, and when we did play on the court, I'm trying to impress them boys.
The older dudes.
Man, them boys invited me to go to the McDill.
It's over.
I'm playing for the NBA championship.
Yes, sir.
So we got over there. I remember rolling through the gate. They showing ID. I ain't got no ID, man.
Right.
I'm a little.
I'm 12 years old.
But I was with the big boys.
Right.
So at that point, I had made it.
Right.
I'm playing with the big boy. The dudes my age, they was at the house on the little court. I'm going with the big boy. We
Right.
going back there.
and coming from the, it's amazing the connectivity of all of what we're discussing, because coming from the socioeconomic level that I did and growing up where I grew up at, that was always mandated. You were young, you're going to get beat up by your older cousins.
That's it.
You're going to play with grown men.
Yes, sir.
And that was a graduation type of thing. It was like I've been dunked on by guys that became NFL players that really step on me and be like, and talk reckless, in regards to it. But it gave me the fabric that I have, personally today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I never forget just being able to hold my own, because all I could do at the time was get a steal and shoot a 3. That's it.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't let me dribble.
That was
like,
the sum total of your game. Get a steal and shoot a 3.
Shoot a 3. That was it. Like that was it. And I knew my role at an early age. I knew my role, but I said, you know what? You gonna let me dribble this ball?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And working on that piece of it.
Let me ask you, it didn't stop you from playing other sports though.
It didn't.
And see, that's the thing, man. Like
didn't.
today, everything's specialization.
Specialized.
We talking about our love for that basketball, but we still played other sports.
Yeah. But it's amazing the options that we had when you went to a Parks and Rec department, and they had flag football, they had baseball. I mean, I was very good, believe it or not, playing horseshoes. That was one of the first things I played along with baseball. You know what I'm saying?
Sir.
So
my second ever trophy is a soccer trophy from the West Tampa Boys and Girls Club.
You kidding?
Like,
We were loaded. We had all these athletes.
Yeah.
Half of us didn't know the rules, but we had the most athletes.
You can run though.
I won a volleyball. I won a volleyball tournament at sand volleyball tournament in high school, so 10th grade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So but you just wanted to just play.
Yes.
You wanted to be active. You wanted to do all these things. Now with the with the science of it and all that. Okay, I'll tell any kid. Okay, play it as long as you have a passion for it. When the passion evaporates, then specialize.
Yeah.
Don't just say unless you're a gymnast. You know what I'm saying?
Right, that's something that's different.
You know what I mean? That's different. But because you have to do that early to be good at it early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It used to be a big thing back in the day. I remember this dude named played at Lakeland, George Almons.
Did he play at Florida?
I don't think he did. I'm trying to remember where he went. He went like to Louisiana Tech or somewhere in Louisiana. Raging Cajuns, I think it was.
Northeast Louisiana.
Something like that. But Georgia, and I remember the name because he was an All-American safety, and he was an All-American basketball player.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And I know they still got that some, but it was a little bit more prevalent then.
It's not as prevalent now, and I think we can. I mean, that's a topic for another day.
I think that's more of a generational thing too.
Yeah.
Like even with a guy like Deion Sanders, who got the nickname Primetime from his basketball exploits.
Right.
That had nothing to do with football.
Right.
He got the nickname Primetime for what he was doing on the court.
Right.
So I think, I guess it's generational. maybe parents scared their kids go get left behind, so they try to have them specialize.
Yeah.
Well, but you got to look at what the dollar value and the monetary thing is done to the economics of basketball. It's like you got national tournaments for second graders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can go play a national tournament in basketball for second grade, baseball, soccer. We was at Tampa Prep one day.
They ranking guys in the 2029.
Yeah. We was at Tampa Prep one day, and me and Drake made a comment like, "Yeah, they say the Motown Mavericks, a team out of Detroit, they got the best guard in the nation, 15 and under." And I ain't gonna use the curse word Jones used. He was like, "How the hell they know who the best 15-year-old in America is?"
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's
but like.
That's where we at. And like you said, that's for another day. We'll go get it.
I think, but the same euphoric feeling I had when I made my first pass, I had the same thing with my first dunk. I had the same thing, you know what I'm saying, with my first, game-winning shot. I had the same thing with, just being able to practice and compete every day. Like being able to compete every day, finding something you wasn't so good at. You know what I mean? Or your left hand is not that strong, and then you're working on that. So the peaks and valleys of sports for me has always been something that made me who I am today. Like the challenges that you have, because when you come obsessed with it, like I like to use the context of obsessors. You got somebody around you that's obsessors, and they're in the same business that you're doing. Your business is going to be okay.
Right,
I promise
you.
Your team is going to be okay.
Let me ask you a real random quick question, and I've always wanted to ask other hoopers this. You remember when you started being able to go left and finish with the left? Yeah. It got to a point where I was so eager to show off the left, I used to overdo it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's how it be.
Did that happen with y'all? Like, I want to show off my roll with the left. Everything is left now.
For me, I was all right. And then I never forget one summer, man, I'm playing, I'm all right. I'm playing, I'm always playing with older guys. Guys' IQ at the time was like, oh, stop him from doing this, and this.
Stop him
I'm
from
like,
going left, yeah.
Oh, what? Yeah. Hold on, let me go to the lab. And I never forget, you know what I mean? Every single day, man, I did 200 left-hand layups, man, for like 8 months straight. Like, literally.
It took a little while for me to get to that because I just bullet balled my way to the right.
Yeah, he's a big power guard.
But again, that's just part of being a great basketball player, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Like, stop me from going.
Yeah,
right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have that thought process. Like, okay, you tell me I can't do this? All right, let me go, work on this.
So let me ask y'all this. We was talking about our first sports memory. What's some of y'all first, like, watching Vinny Testaverde throw 5 interceptions against Penn State in the Orange Bowl, in the Fiesta Bowl, or watching?
It's funny how it go back to baseball. In Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's your team.
That was my team, the Pirates. In Cincinnati. Man, Pittsburgh lost, man, I cried so hard. I just knew that's one of my biggest, man. I cried so hard when the Pirates lost, man. And then when they came back a few years later, I want to say 79 or whatever, and it was We Are Family and they won it.
Right.
Man, I was on top of the world.
That's crazy.
For me, it's a couple, man. I was emotionally spent when Kentucky lost to Duke.
Yeah.
When Leighton
hit that turnaround.
When Leighton had a perfect shooting night.
Yeah. I wanted to
you realize he didn't miss from the field or the free throw line?
I wanted to fight the whole house at the time.
Right.
I'm watching a 13-inch black and white TV.
That when they had one Monster Mash there,
that was my guy.
He fouled out.
Tough.
That was my guy.
He fouled out.
Monster Mash, who I was fortunate enough to meet later on down the line. Jamal Mashburn. Yeah, his son played in the AAU tournament.
Okay.
And then in baseball, I got a fond baseball memory when the Minnesota Twins. I was a Minnesota Twins fan. Growing up. Us in Florida, we didn't have a team.
No.
Growing up, so it wasn't. And then when the Rays came in, I instantly became a Rays fan. But I was a Minnesota Twins fan. You couldn't tell me that.
You know what burned in my head? We talking about is this going back for y'all young fellas, man. When you couldn't dunk, they outlawed dunking. So it was like, they go up to the rim, get over I seen his face. I knew I was going to get y'all. You get in, you make a point. They go up there, rim right here now, they talking about.
Drop it in.
Doing that. You know what I mean? Kareem did that.
I wonder what
he was Lou Alcindor. To stop Lou Alcindor, he dominated the game.
It was purely based on race.
Yeah.
Who else was playing above the rim back then?
Yeah. You couldn't dunk it. So to see dudes now, how they get it and just and hang and do all that. It's funny to me because I was like, I bet they don't know you couldn't dunk before. You just had to drop it in. You know what I mean?
That was the thing.
But I know you was a Larry Bird fan. Though.
Larry Joe Bird. Mr. 24, 10, and 6 is what I call him.
24, 10, and 6. So
Yeah.
that's where your
Most of my first memories are football related. Like I remember seeing Jamel Holloway on the sideline with a fur coat on.
fly.
I had no idea what was going on. I was like,
yeah.
why does this dude have a fur coat on the side? I didn't know anything about Joe Namath, wearing the fur coat.
Yeah.
I was like, why does he have on a fur coat on the sideline?
But
I remember I said Vinny threw the 5 picks against Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl. They were supposed to beat him. I remember Florida State, Miami. Florida State went for 2, up in Tallahassee one year. They knocked it down. They beat them. A lot of my first memories are football games. I remember one night I got sick on Halloween. This is random. And Eric Dixon was playing for the Colts. He went crazy on Monday Night Football.
Yeah,
A lot of my stuff is football.
It's amazing though that
Let me interrupt. And then you said UNLV was your team.
That was yes.
The year that they lost to Duke, the following year,
Right.
they lost 79-77. That was Grant Hill freshman year.
Right.
I stayed home from a party on what's now, I think it's American Social. Where did we meet at on Harbor Island?
American Social.
Back then, it was a place called Blueberry Hill. A homegirl was having a birthday party. I stayed home from her party to watch UNLV lose to Duke 79-77. I didn't cry like Jones did,
I cried.
but I was close. I was close.
You can call me what you want. 200, 300 count, soft sheets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I remember the score. I remember the score of those
I'm
games.
talking about, boy, I won nothing.
79-77. I remember the Duke game when they blew Vegas out. It was 101-71. Like I remember the scores of those games.
Yeah, see, and I wasn't as vivid as that, but what I'm hearing is always gracious to hear, like being around so many of the youth and the adolescents now, and to know that they only can, if they're a basketball fan, they're a basketball fan.
Yeah.
Right.
Like yours came from all landscape of sports. Yeah. Coaches came from all landscape of sports. Like I can name a guy just from when I was 8 years old to 17 to where somebody I was a fan of, whether it was Jamal Mashburn, Larry Johnson, Randall Cunningham, Kirby Puckett, you know what I'm saying? Like different guys in different sports because we literally watched all of it. You know what I mean? We watched all of it. Now, that's the most gracious thing and the amazing thing that I'm hearing from us, like a multitude of
it was
and Wayne Gretzky. I mean, all of us. The Kings,
the great one.
You know what I mean?
Kings
like
hat.
right.
Yeah. Listen, when that dude, when I say, they say his nickname was the Great One.
Right.
I say, who is this damn dude? He must be to have a nickname like that.
And like that's been his
stories.
You know, that's the only hockey game I ever watched. I watched him play one night.
Really?
Yep, and it was early on with the Oilers. And
Edmonton Oilers.
And I don't even know how the game was on or how I couldn't even tell.
I'll tell you how it was
the
on.
alignment just happened like that.
I'll tell you because Gretzky was playing. That's how it was on.
Yeah. So
I was on his TV.
I was on my TV. You know what I mean? So I watched a little bit, and they were like, the Great One. I'm like, who the hell is the Great One? I said, this dude must be good.
It's cold.
Listen, man, that dude was off the chain. Now, I can't say I ain't seen nothing like it since because I ain't watched no hockey.
Right.
So you haven't seen anything like
it. But to see that dude right there and then to watch all the stars coming up, for some other reason, you know what popped in my head a lot too? The uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
The uniform. Listen, that's why I laugh sometimes when these people have throwback night. And they'll have the uniforms on. And somebody be talking about, man, what kind of uniform is like that? And I'll be like, yeah, I remember that uniform.
My favorite
Baseball,
uniform,
the Astros.
The Houston Astros, that throwback, boy.
And listen, you look at that uniform
that
right
Nolan
now.
Ryan, boy. Yeah.
You like, oh.
Yeah.
Because just based off of just the makeup of the uniform.
I think Nolan Ryan threw no hitter in that uniform.
I'm sure he did. He probably threw 7 or 8 of them. He probably.
Hey, listen, I know y'all remember this now. It's funny to me that the rule you got tucks all these stuff. You know, Marquette used to wear a hangout uniform.
That was a big thing.
It was made to hang out.
Really?
Yeah, it was made to hang out.
Thing.
And then on the back,
y'all schooling the young.
It was made to hang out. And then on the back, it had Marquette.
Yes, sir.
It was tough. I wanted to wear one of them so bad.
Wow.
And Bush Lee was the college guard then from Puerto Rico. Bush Lee, black Puerto Rican dude. He ain't panned out in the pros too much or what, but he was the guard in college.
Right.
And to see Bush Lee, man, with that pull-out jersey doing his work.
See, that's funny. You say Butch Lee, and I kind of lump all them guys together. I don't know why I do it. Like, is it Andre Turner?
Yeah.
Butch Lee, Andre Turner, just random names like Jarvis Bass Knight. Like I would hear my cousins them yelling about UNLV and Bass Knight and Andre Turner and Butch Lee and all that. But then, some of my first memories.
Hey, you remember them Oakland A's uniforms?
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And all I see is Ricky Henderson with that on.
Ricky Henderson
doing his thing.
That's
you
it.
know what I mean?
Them Texas Rangers.
Texas Rangers was tough. Texas Rangers was tough.
Texas Rangers was tough.
Yes.
That uniform, man. But it was like it's just again it's just those things that we literally paid attention to, man, and that stick in our head, like man, you know what I'm saying? Different. The level of the Seattle Mariners.
Seattle Mariners. I mean? I got another phone. When you remember back before the what is it called?
Seattle Mariners.
With Griffey,
Ken Griffey,
I remember when they was what you call them?
Expansion team.
Yeah, definitely.
Colorado. You remember when they played on the turf? Colorado and Nebraska would be in the Big Eight, and they would play on the turf. I hadn't grasped the concept. I didn't really know what artificial turf was.
Did they have on spot belt cleats?
No.
I remember them spot belt. What? Nebraska used to wear them
down. Man, I'm telling
you. Colorado was playing. They were playing the black on black. Dude had on black sanitary, black pants, black jersey. He got on a shield,
right?
But he got on some black Jordans. So obviously we from down here, we don't know about no artificial turf.
Right.
So my brother's like, yeah, they playing on turf. So like that was the era when guys were wearing like the tennis shoes on the turf.
Yeah.
When Randy Moss was wearing the shoes and the Dion's and Mike Vicks and all that stuff. That's one of my favorite. Like he looked like Darth Vader coming out the tunnel. He got on all black and some black Jordans.
That's when them boys used to run that sweep and they was running downhill because you had that crown on the field.
Boy,
them boys literally
downhill. I'm talking about they got 600 yards of offense, 47 yards passing. Darian Hagan coming down here pitching that thing.
Colorado.
Sports, man. Sports is I think, fella, we can do this. We can do this all day because we gonna miss some, and it'll come up, and we'll think about it. But I think the ones that's at the forefront of our mind, man, is definitely wanted to be able to touch on. And I think this is going to bring just some fond memories to everyone that's listening, man. Your first your first sports experience, your first memory, what made you stay connected with sports. The relationships that you built and made, you know what I'm saying, and all of that because of that. Us guys sitting here doing this is because of sports.
Because of basketball. I remember Mario was a young pup. I used to go over to the projects. My homeboy Dame got a cousin. He's 6'4", lanky, big. Mm-hmm. He get the rebound. I'm like, hey, young fella, he gone. I'm like, man, Dame, tell your cousin to pass the ball.
You know how many times they don't give me the ball? No,
he gone. So now you got to feel the leg.
You're gonna begin to trust me with this rock. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? And I as Jones like to say, we would be remiss if we forgot to mention when Dwight Gooden got to the majors. He got his chonk on. Chonk is a Tampa word. He got his jewelry on. He throwing that heat. Yeah.
But you talking about iconic moments. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are iconic memories of guys from the 813 that we can vividly remember, that were doing things.
It's a lot of them, and guess what? We're going to have some of them right here.
We will.
You better believe it.
Right on this
so let's look forward to what 99 Ain't Good Enough going to bring to the table. We're going to keep it 100. Look forward to, we got different celebrities and stars that we're going to bring to the panel to do what we do, to touch on the sports, different current events, things of that nature. We wanted to make sure we get on this platform today and speak about our fondest memories. What is your fondest memory in sports? What has the experience of sports have done for you? So 99 ain't good enough when we keep it 100.
We're signing off.
Hey, nothing couldn't stop us today. You see, we sharing a mic right here.
We're
going to get this thing right.
We sharing a mic today. First episode, but guess what? I promise you the aesthetics will be a little different.
Yeah, there's one in the books.